I hope everyone can hear me. My name is Walter Beede, and we're going to talk some recruiting tonight. And if you have questions, I really encourage you to submit them into the chat. I do not want to provide a lecture. I'd rather make sure that we're answering questions that may be on the top of your mind. Anything that is in your world currently, meaning if you're maybe a freshman in high school, a senior in high school, anything that's relevant to your topic, I'm happy to answer. The world of college baseball, particularly with regard to recruiting, is a fast evolving, always seems to be changing. And I really want to make sure that I'm answering the questions. And so the first topic of discussion is what has changed is the timetables on recruiting. And over the last 25 plus years, really the last 27 to 28 years, many families had become accustomed to recruiting kind of taking over center stage, sophomore year in high school and getting on the radar and exposure and things of that nature. That world has significantly changed. And the number one rule of thumb for those freshmen, sophomore, and even juniors with regard to high school athletics or summer baseball, really those 3 years and even into your rising senior fall, there needs to be more accountability for self-development. Just spent some time this evening with a few college coaches talking about this particular subject. And if I had one overall suggestion for the group as a whole, it would be there are two topics that you should be focused on as a eighth going into ninth grade through your junior year. One is an evaluation. When we say evaluation, that tends to take on a lot of different kind of meanings. But the first and foremost thing that should be on parents' minds with regard to evaluation is understanding the floor and the ceiling for your student athlete. And when I say that, I want you to understand that's kind of like, okay, what are the areas that I need to work on and address? And what are the areas that I need to build on and get better at? So you may do things well currently. Those are build on areas. The work on, whether that's from a strength perspective, a foot speed perspective, defensive or offensive metrics, meaning, your hitting skills, your fielding skills, your throwing skills, things of that nature. You want to have that floor. Like when you're talking to an evaluator, what is my student athlete's baseline? Is he a projectable college caliber student athlete? Will he play high school varsity, or will he be getting between the lines at the younger ages? If not, what does he need to do in order to get between the lines as an 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th grade athlete, so that skill set development can occur, baseball IQ can be enhanced. So that's kind of the floor. That's your floor. That's what you really want to have a good, firm understanding. Meaning, I am looking at a student athlete, and I think he is maybe a JUCO, NAIA, NCAA Division III, NAIA Division II student athlete. That's the floor. The ceiling is dictated, meaning how high can my student athlete go? The ceiling is going to be really determined by three core metrics. One is foot speed. Foot speed is going to determine position. It determines, when I say position, I mean elite foot speed is going to be utilized, maximized in the middle of the diamond, second, short, center field, even catching to some degree. Left-handed bats, those are premium, highly sought after by college coaches. So if you're a right-hand throwing athlete and you're a left-hand hitting athlete, there's going to be increased demand in your student athlete. And so that ceiling is, okay, if you are currently 135, you hit from the left side, you have foot speed. Okay, if you can get your body to that 180, 195, 200 threshold over the next 3 or 4 years of high school, you're going to have opportunities that may get to the NCAA, Division II, Division I level, the JUCO, NJCAA, Division I level, the NAIA level, Division I. If you can get to a certain level, that's your ceiling. And a lot of those variables are going to be kind of discussed with regard to your evaluations. One of the topics when it comes to evaluation is who's doing the evaluation. I think it's really critical to understand that the evaluation piece is something that needs to be done by multiple sets of eyes so that you don't want to become reliant on one particular entity, i.e. team, high school, travel. You don't want to become reliant on one, including myself. You don't want to be, you want multiple eyes to see an athlete because different coaches will see different, skill sets. They'll see different measurables. They'll have different projections, and you're able to formulate a true game plan. But everything starts off of the evaluations. Typically, good evaluators are going to be former college athletes, college coaches, professional athletes, professional coaches, former high school coaches, someone that's been around the game that's objective and can really give you as student athletes as well as parents what you need to hear. You want to try and avoid, whenever possible, trying to get what you want to hear. Meaning you may love to play a certain position, but that may not be a fit because of foot speed or a hit tool or arm strength tool, things of that nature. So you want to find someone that can really give you a clear understanding of the floor and the ceiling so that you can create your own personal journal that has that work on and that build on kind of dynamic to the journal. Can't stress enough the need at particularly early ages on journals, and they need to be kept by the student athlete. Now, parents can make observations, coaches can make observations, but the student athlete should be accountable for the entries into those journals. Okay, this week, my priorities on my work on page, seeing rising fastballs, fastball middle in, things that I need to really get better at and work on. And then things that I need to build on. Maybe that means I have good arm strength, but I need to work on location if I'm a pitcher, or, if I'm a catcher or a shortstop, I need to work on carry on my throws, getting to and through the glove of the fielder that I'm throwing to. Those are very, very important. Next, you need to have a movement screen. Now, when I say this, I'm talking from a strength, mobility, agility perspective. So you can go to a physical therapist, a kinesiologist, a certified strength trainer, particularly those that are within the world of high school, college athletics. And they're going to do what they call an intake evaluation. There's going to be topics such as internal, external rotation, elbows, shoulders, hips, knees, flexibility, areas of weakness, potentially in the scapula, the rear heads of the shoulder, things that you want to identify early and begin to work on those areas, whether through stretching programs that's called dynamic stretching or strength programs. And you really, truly want to surround your student athletes with those trainers that are capable of ensuring that your student athlete is moving weight correctly for their bodies, both the amount of weight, as far as a range of motion is concerned, so that they're doing their exercises properly, safely. You really want to have this happen as early as possible. Several weeks ago, I had some athletes and their parents join me, and they started when they were 12 years old. In some cases, that may be body weight. In other cases, it's a building. You're basically stacking days, and I call it bricks. You're stacking your bricks one day at a time. And you need your student athletes to understand, especially early when they're just beginning a strength, meal prep, nutrition, foot speed type of a program. Nobody's going to worry about how you start. The key is to get your evaluations done, then your movement screen and the intake evaluations done, and then execute a game plan by taking action steps one day at a time. When you're looking at a few bricks and you turn around, you're stacking your days and you're in week 2, those 14 days may not look like much, but over the course of, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, you're going to start to stack hundreds, almost thousands of days, and it's going to begin to show itself. Physical maturation will begin to occur. Skill set development will be clearly identified. You'll be moving better. You'll be moving more fluidly. And these are the key components when we start to begin to build a recruiting profile. You cannot have recruitment unless you've done on the front end that evaluation and that movement screen, both from a skill set perspective and then a physical perspective, that will add up together. Now, again, I want to emphasize, if you as parents have questions, Sean will be able to send them to me here in the chat. I'll be able to answer those. I want to let everyone know I'm going to be sending Sean some e-files for ebook for the recruiting process. It's the second edition of my book, The Recruiting Process. So if you're here this evening and you would like a copy of that, it will be free. It's part of your webinar here tonight. I'll make sure I get that to Sean, and he can forward that on to parents, student athletes. And again, if you have any questions, I'll make sure I put my specs on here, and I'll make sure that I am looking for them. If you have a question as a parent, maybe if it's an individual approach with regard to recruiting, please feel free to shoot that. And Sean, you can put that here in the chat, and I'll make sure that I see that. The next piece of the puzzle is, when does college recruiting truly begin? And I say this to parents, it begins in earnest the fall or the summer of the senior, as your student athlete is entering their senior year. It is no longer necessary to be concerned with, roster spots are always evolving. The vast majority of college programs are going to take in high school athletes to develop and to fill in their roster spots. And then any areas of immediate need will be filled through the portal, the transfer portal. Now, the transfer portal tends to be driven by the Division I bus, um, and all of those athletes will begin to flow down and they'll be dispersed, and all of the colleges work out of the portal. Some of the lower divisions have athletes that enter through the summer leagues. They make it known that they're looking to transfer, but for the most part, the portal is where a lot of colleges will find their plug and play players. High school athletes, your senior year, you want to begin with three particular topics in mind. One, geographics. What part of the continent in North America are you looking to attend college? I do a lot of work with college athletes from Canada. I have one student athlete at Evansville this year, another athlete going to Dayton. He's currently doing a prep school here in the States, in New England, and he will be attending Dayton. So, a lot of times, a lot of the Canadian student athletes or the Pacific Northwest, in and around the Oregon, Wyoming, Vancouver, Washington, those states in and around that area, they begin to start to take a look at the various levels, Division III, NCAA, also NAIA school, and obviously JUCOs. But first is geographics. Next, academics. What's the academic area of interest? And then third, is the baseball program, is that a fit for you as a student athlete? Meaning, does your evaluation and your strength fit the school that you kind of have begun to do some due diligence on? All right. First question: are PBR events important to attend annually or multiple times per year? This is a great question, and I really want to preface this by saying a lot of these events, I call them the alphabet. So we have Perfect Game or PG, PBR, Prep Baseball Report. They are not going to help younger student athletes with regard to recruiting. If you're going to do these events at younger ages, I always try to make sure that the athletes as well as the parents have a firm understanding that you're going to use that as a tool to measure progression. You're not trying to put these out into the recruiting world or on social media. What you're trying to do is use them as a baseline from year to year. I always will say to parents, if you really want to do this and save time, money, obviously, you can do this within your local programs. And what you want to measure are really what I call the four foundational, kind of dynamics that you want to be able to get a baseline on. One is your foot speed. That can be a metric, whether it's a 40-yard dash, a 60-yard dash, something that gives an indication of your foot speed. And you want to track that and see the progression. Next is arm strength. Now, when I talk about arm strength, you really want to understand there needs to be an accuracy component to arm strength. So any local program is going to have access, whether it be to a conventional radar gun, Rapsodo. There are other analytics. There's Yacker Tech. There's StreamYard, not StreamYard. There's Synergy, and there's TrackMan. And so, whether you're a catcher, an outfielder, an infielder, obviously a pitcher, all you want to do is utilize that metric, that arm strength metric, to show progression. Just because you're in an upper percentile at younger ages doesn't necessarily mean as you get older you're going to still maintain that kind of that metric, because a lot of boys will plateau. They get to a certain level at younger ages and they don't really continue to work. But if you're using PBR or Perfect Game and you're using it from a metric perspective, you want to use it to understand the progression of your student athlete. I can assure you of two definitive topics. One, college coaches do not utilize at the younger ages the whole perfect game and PBR. Those are subscription based entities that want parents to sign up for newsletters, that want parents to kind of pay a monthly subscription, to be kept abreast of everything going on in a particular territory or area of the country. And a lot of athletes will get caught up in the perception of the top 10 in this area, the top 10 in the state, the top 10 in an event, all tournament teams, things of that nature. While those can be good for personal, self-validation, when it comes to recruiting, the ultimate component to recruiting is going to be the camps. College coaches are going to want to interact with student athletes. And I will also give pause here to say, if you're considering a college camp and you are an underclassman, and that goes for 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th grades, do not look at camps, PBR, or perfect game events as a recruiting event. It is, during those ages, it is more about progression, measurement, skill set development, and evolution. Don't worry and don't get consumed with where you are, particularly at those younger underclassmen age groups. Really not relevant. Where those events become relevant is as you're beginning to enter into your end of your junior season, junior spring, you're entering into the rising senior summer and fall. Recruiting is going to take place in earnest at camps. And this is where you want to have a good understanding of geographically, where are you trying to attend college? Academically, what are your areas of interest? And do those schools that geographically fit have your academic area of interest? And then lastly, the baseball. Baseball is the same at every college and university, every level and division, meaning 60 foot, 6 inches mound to home plate, 90-foot bases, generally 390 and beyond in center field, 325 down the lines, 350 to 375 in the gaps. The number one thing to keep in mind is that the college game is older. It's older, it's stronger, it's faster, and that's for all levels of college. So don't get consumed with the perfect game or the PBR models at the younger ages. You're better off spending time with regard to your work on and your build on journals, the weight room. I can't emphasize that enough. Nutrition, meal prep, skill set development. That's really where you should be focusing the vast majority of your time and efforts and energy, especially at the younger ages prior to the senior year. Let's see. What are some tips for creating a recruitment video? Is there a preference, parent footage, or game changer? Any samples that I can share? Okay, so and these questions are great. And I want to let parents know that as it pertains to video should be from the parents and not game changer. In fact, avoid game changer whenever possible. And so what we want to be able to send to college coaches is whatever your student athlete currently does well, very well, meaning is there a foot speed? Is it arm strength? Is it fielding? Is it hitting? Is it hitting with power? We want to capture that, and we want it to be approximately, I would say, a minute and a half to 2 minutes. No music. Doesn't have to be a lot of editing as far as what coaches are seeing. They want to see your athletes moving from the open side, meaning if you're a right-hand hitter, the video should be on the first base side so that we're getting the opportunity to see the front of the student athlete. Same as a pitcher. If you're a right-hand pitcher, you want to be on the third base side taking that video. Want it to be so that we can see the athlete move. That's part one of the video. Part two is if we are recording a game and we get a base hit. Two things I want to tell parents. Believe it or not, most video that college coaches see is going to contain a highlight, meaning you're going to see an athlete put a ball in play. What the coaches are looking for is what the athlete does after contact, meaning how are they coming out of the box? So you don't want to just show your athlete getting a hit and seeing the ball go out to the left fielder. You really want to focus your attention on your student athlete swinging the bat, coming out of the box, and taking that turn at first base. And if they're trying to go for a double or they're going into second, show your athlete coming out of the box with authority, with aggression, with a purpose. That is key. If your athlete is an elite fielder, make sure you're capturing your student athlete fielding and throwing accurately. Now, if you want to go over by the first baseman while your student athlete is fielding from the left side and show them fielding and then the ball coming across the diamond, that's great. If your athlete is a second baseman and you know they're going to be turning double plays, same thing holds true. Get behind the first baseman, focus in on your second baseman, focus in on the bag, getting them to turn the double play, show that. Outfield, same thing. If they're left field, try to get out into left field and show them fielding, tracking a fly ball, and throwing. You want the video to show the highlights. The subject, anytime you're taking video, you must emphasize what the subject meant. If your student athlete is 6'2", 190 pounds, and runs a 6'7", right hand hitting, right hand throwing, so you just put RHH, right hand thrower, outfielder, runs a 6'8", 6'7", 60, 88, 90 from the outfield. That's a subject line. That's gonna make the coaches open that video. You do not want generic subject headings or subject lines in your email. You want it to be a wow subject line, meaning elite running outfielder, 90 plus or 85 left-hand pitcher, 85 plus with advanced secondaries. Something that is going to get that coach to open that email. Next, make sure if you're a student athlete that is a junior and above, meaning you're an upperclassman, always have a current transcript or even a photo of your report card. Doesn't have to be an official from your high school. Transcript, video, personal introduction. Hi, my name is Walter Beede. I'm currently 6'2", 190 pounds. I'm an outfielder and I can play infield as well as catch. These are my transcripts through the completion of my junior year in high school. I am looking to major in business management. I have done some research. Assumption College fits my college profile. I feel I can be of benefit to the baseball program. Here is my video: hitting, fielding, and running. Short, simple, sweet. Your subject line is going to catch their attention. They have your transcript. They have your video. You want that video to be sent with something that's going to catch the attention of the college coach. When you are sending emails, if there's anything pedestrian, meaning if you're not a fast runner or you're not a strong thrower, don't show something that's going to expose your student athlete. Better to keep it short, simple, with highlights that really show your athlete in a beneficial light than it is to show something that could potentially create a red line that goes through your video. Make sure your videos are, I would say, 90 seconds to 2 minutes. Quality subject line, a photo of your transcript or an official transcript with a personal introduction. Avoid anything that is an NCSA or somebody sending it on your student athlete's behalf. Make sure your athletes are sending it directly with a personal message to the coach. My name is Walter Beede. I've been following your program, and Coach Corbin, I have been following the Vanderbilt program, and I feel that I have the skill sets that are necessary to help the benefit the Vanderbilt baseball program. Here is my transcript. Here is my video. I currently throw 92 miles an hour. In other words, make sure your skill sets fit the level of college that you are emailing. Keep the video simple. Make sure it includes a transcript, and make sure your subject is going to create an absolute must open. Present the highlight on what your student athlete does best and why that coach wants to open that email. Next. How many school camps should we attend, and should we try to do it at a grade 11 or 12 or both? I will always tell parents college camps are more of an academic awareness. And when I say that, I mean college athletic camps for the underclassmen are to get your student athlete to understand what the college athletes at that school do and do well, how the coaches interact with the student athletes. Are they militant? Are they conversational? Are they kind of standoffish? If you use them to learn about the campus, about the coaching staff, about the amenities and the facilities, and you're doing it to learn to get better as a student athlete at the younger grades, that's great. You should have zero expectation of college recruitment. In fact, I will always tell parents, do not, under any circumstances, if you are an underclassman, ever discuss recruitment. It's not anything that you need to be concerned with as an 8th, 9th, or 10th grader. As an 11th and 12th grader, when you go to a college camp, I would prefer, and I always recommend with those families that I'm working with, let's choose the schools that fit the geographic academic profile where you have a realistic opportunity to be a participant at that school, meaning everyone wants to go to a D1 camp. The excitement, the allure, being on the field, whether that could be at the University of Washington, Washington State, Oregon State. So many schools in the Pacific Northwest that you would want to attend. That's great as far as an opportunity to kind of get a sense. But when it starts to come to recruiting as the 11th and 12th grade, what you want to understand is, where are my skill sets? Where am I a projectable student athlete as far as from a fit perspective? What are my realistic opportunities at this school? And if I attend that camp, I want to make sure that my skill sets are going to fit that college or university, meaning your current travel coach, high school coach. They can say, yes, I think you can fit. I think you can play at that school. If it's a reach school, meaning you play shortstop and you run a 7-1 or a 7-2, chances are you're not going to play shortstop at a school like that. If you're a left-hand hitter and you have some power, okay, you might be a third baseman. You might be a left fielder. Heck, you could even be a catcher. But you need to understand, this is where versatility and true evaluation has taken place. And so that you can get onto that campus and say, I think I have the skill sets for an NAIA program or an NCAA Division III program. Some cases, it's always best to start and get a good feel for where your fit is going to be when you start to take on college camps. You don't want to be a donator to a baseball program if you're going to start going to camps, all for the hope of opening eyes. If you have a true skill set, your high school coach or your travel coach can call college coaches at those higher levels, NCAA Division I, JUCO Division I, NAIA Division I, and say, hey, I have a student athlete I think that's going to be a fit. And that coach will obviously say, okay, we'll send them to our camp. Well, now you've given your student athlete a true kind of measure up where that coach at that college or university has already spoken with somebody that they trust as an evaluator, high school or travel coach. And now the college coaches are going to take a really long, hard look to see if those skills measure up to what they were told by the high school coach or the college coach. I will always tell parents, when it comes to college camps, set realistic goals and expectations. Start out with the geographics, move up to the academics. You'll be amazed. Those two filters will eliminate a lot of the minutia, a lot of the gray area, and will really bring into get some clarity with regard to, okay, these schools fit the geographic, they fit the academic. Some cases they fit the financial components to what you're looking for in a college. And then you want to attend those camps based on feedback from an evaluator that you trust and that college coaches will trust, and then attend those camps accordingly. All right, let's go here. What are prep schools, and how do you go to one? I think that's about a cost. Okay, so prep schools have become. There was a big article today in the Wall Street Journal. And I want to let everybody know, if you're on LinkedIn and you have the ability to go on to LinkedIn, there was a great article today about the proliferation of boarding schools, prep schools, baseball academies. Wall Street Journal article today you can look up. And there's a lot of athletes that are reclassing. Now, prep schools, predominantly here in the Northeast or Mid-Atlantic area of the United States, they've been around for centuries. And the athletic dynamic to prep schools and boarding schools has been going on for decades with hockey, basketball, football, and now is becoming equally as prevalent with regard to baseball. And so what I want you to understand as parents and as student athletes is this is a twofold dynamic. It can't be athletic centric. There has to be, and there should always be, an academic component to whenever you're making a decision with regard to prep schools, boarding schools, and obviously colleges. The prep schools will always be on the lookout for high-level academic / athletic students. It is a global world, meaning right now, Asia, Japan, China, Korea, Taiwan, Australia, Germany, Great Britain, the Latin countries. I can tell you a myriad of stories that they are now going into the NAIA, the NCAA, the JUCO world. It's a very competitive space, and even more so at the prep school level. A lot of times, a lot of European, Asian, Latin families will seek out those schools that will help gain entry into the higher level academic colleges and universities by way of the prep schools and the boarding schools. Schools like, I will give you NEPSAC, the ISL, the Founders League. These leagues, Phillips Andover, Phillips Exeter, Lawrence Academy, Groton Academy, Brooks Academy, Cheshire, Avon Old Farms. These schools are really prevalent throughout the Northeast, New York, down through the Mid-Atlantic. Really, really prestigious, high-level academic schools, Seton Hall Prep. There's a lot of schools now that are starting that are similar to IMG, that have more of an academic area of focus. There's a new school in Massachusetts called Masters Academy. I do not recommend these schools for what I would call the conventional high school student athlete. If you have a student athlete that you know is elite or above average, academically, meaning they are like a 3.2 or higher, athletically, they have a skill set that could benefit from an extra year, physical maturation, mental maturation, in some cases, living away from home. I have a young man from the greater Ontario area of Canada. His name is Logan Frogie. And Logan has done 2 years at Lawrence Academy, and he repeated his junior year of high school. Came from Canada as a high school junior, repeated his junior year at Lawrence Academy. Now he's currently a senior at Lawrence Academy in Groton, Massachusetts, and he'll be attending Dayton University. Logan is a left-handed pitcher, and he got significant financial aid. Now, if you have a student athlete that has a strong academic profile and an above average athletic profile, a lot of these schools will have financial aid packages that are very, very, they present an advantage for those student athletes that want to attend colleges or university here in the United States, regardless of where they're geographically located. These types of schools have worked with the higher level academic colleges and universities from coast to coast. The faculty at these schools are global. The student body is global. And so it can present and can be a difference maker for those student athletes that have those above average skill sets, both in the classroom as well as in the ball field. And they do look for multi-sport athletes, and they can present a really strong advantage with regard to college placement, not only getting accepted into colleges, but getting good financial aid packages as well. Let's see. With the new Division I portal changes, how is that affecting Canadian students? I can tell you that a lot of college coaches. I have a young man at Evansville, as I alluded to, also from the greater. He played on the Ontario Blue Jays. His name is Benji Cayudo, elite athlete, and he took a gap year. He did not attend a prep school. He took a physical gap year, meaning graduated high school in Canada, took a year, did some online studies, but got in the weight room, really polished some of his skill sets. Very versatile. He's a catcher, second baseman, center fielder, and he is currently at the University of Evansville. And he is he has benefited greatly by that gap year, that extra year of physical maturation. And so there's a lot of ways that can save, with regard to financial means. When you take that gap year, you can take online classes. Division I athletics, NCAA, NAIA, NJCAA, all of those three divisions of college athletics at the Division I level are primarily going to be for those student athletes that have a projectable professional tool, foot speed, arm strength, fielding, hitting, and power. If you have a plus tool, that's where Division I baseball, at any of those three divisions of college baseball, NCAA, NAIA, NJCAA. If you do not have that high level tool or projectable tool, the chances of playing Division I out of high school are pretty much slim and non-existent. The portal every year is going to have more athletes in the portal than ultimately find homes in the Division I levels across baseball. Most portal athletes end up going to what they call fallback, NCAA Division II, NAIA Division II, NCAA Division II and III, and in some cases, if they're a freshman in college, or even a sophomore, but maybe a red shirt, they'll have eligibility at the JUCO levels. The portal is always a very volatile. It's very difficult to navigate because you, as parents of high school athletes, do not know who or when those athletes are going to enter the portal, meaning everybody anticipates June 1st. Okay, that can be one time period, but an athlete can enter into the portal anytime over a 3 to 4 week time period. And then once they're in there, I mean, so you could be an athlete that's committed to a college, and suddenly a premier, let's say you're a center fielder, and suddenly a premier Division II center fielder enters the portal. Well, everybody in Division I, including the school that your student athlete could have committed to, and so that's why it's really imperative to have really clear dialogue with regard to college coaches. How active are they in the portal? How active are they with regard to development? The portal is very, very fluid. A lot of athletes that enter the portal with high expectations, they don't reach that certain level that they had hoped, and then they begin to fall back into the lower levels and lower divisions of college. So it's really, really important for you as parents to have that dialogue with possible college coaches. This past October of 2025, a lot of 2026 commitments were told that they had no room and that they would have to seek other options at the college level. And then, even as recently as this week, you could just go on X, and if you just plug in the words due to unforeseen circumstances, you see all of these athletes that are now suddenly reopening their recruiting. That has a domino effect on all of the underclassmen currently in high school. It is not meant to penalize the high school athlete, but it does make our jobs as parents much more challenging, trying to stay on top of or hopefully ahead of potential pitfalls that may occur throughout the portal season, which is June 1st through the mid portion of July, just after the Major League Draft. And then again, December 1st, you see a lot of athletes entering the portal that may have tried to walk on at various schools or may have had a roster spot last year, but got beaten out this particular fall, and they've been told they don't have any room. That's another big issue with regard to recruiting. Just because you commit to a college doesn't mean you can stop working, doesn't mean you can stop and kind of take a big, deep breath. You always have to understand each and every day, prior to your attending college and while you're attending college, you're always competing for not only playing time, but roster spots. Huge, huge dynamic to college recruiting. Let's see. Do all college years, U.S. sports, NAIA, JUCO, affect eligibility? Yes, they all affect eligibility. Contrary to one college football player was granted an injunction that negated his year at a JUCO and was given an opportunity to have an additional year as a college senior. Now, you're seeing a lot of athletes take the litigation route, trying to gain extra years of eligibility. As we're speaking today, all years of college affect eligibility. So if you go to junior college, you play for 2 years. You only have 2 years remaining at a 4-year school, whether that be NAIA or NCAA. So you need to be aware of that. The next thing you need to be aware of is there may be a 5th year of eligibility coming, not until 2028. But when that does occur, it's being looked at by the NAIA schools. Also, NCAA Division II and Division I have kind of kicked that can down the road to 2028. I won't go too deep down that rabbit hole, but that has to do with the Major League Baseball collective bargaining agreement, which will lead to a lockout or people think a lockout in 2027 season, and that will take effect as far as college eligibility and the 5th year of eligibility during the 2028 season. Let's see. How are and where do people get college coaches' contact information? the Baseball Blue Book. Now, we're coming out with something really unique with the Blue Book, and there's going to be a filter dynamic where you can punch in all of your information, where you're looking to go to college geographically, and you can plug in your major. You can look into JUCO schools. You can look, your filters will be so plentiful, and you'll put all that desired information in, and it will come back with, here are all the schools that fit your criteria, all levels of baseball that you put into that. So there is zero need for you as parents to pay to create a profile. A profile should be one that you can go onto like the Baseball Blue Book, plug in your desired areas of the country that you'd like to attend college, plug in the type of academics that you're looking for in college, and then also use the filter of what level of college baseball are you looking to play. NAIA, NJCAA, which is the JUCO. Also, you can put in the California, which is the CAAOO or the COOAA, and then obviously the NCAA. But utilizing that filter will help you save tons of time, money, and it will really eliminate stress. And I highly encourage you to look for that in the Blue Book app, because it's a free component that you'll be able to use as parents. I really, really hope that you're able to understand those filters are there so that you can streamline and efficiently manage and the expectations for your student athletes. Meaning, it makes no sense to start looking at Division I colleges or universities if you're saying, okay, I just want Division I and I just want to stay on the Pacific Northwest. The amount of schools that will fit that are minimal. 70 to 75% of the colleges and universities that play baseball in the country, the United States, are east of the Rockies. Very important to understand that. So you may be looking for economics. You may be looking for architectural. You may be looking at kinesiology, criminal justice, early education. You put those into your filter, it's going to spit out a list of schools that fit your criteria and that you can spend a lot of your effort, time looking and researching the baseball piece, as well as the geographical, the financial, and the academic piece. Let's see. How do and where do people get that college coaches information, contact information? Again, in the Baseball Blue Book, that will have all of that. It will have the coaches' names, the coaches' emails. Always do this with the filter so that you're just not navigating through the forest. You're able to have some clarity, some lanes that you can drive in and feel comfortable in. I stress that strongly. It will help eliminate a lot of your agitation and being overwhelmed. Okay, Dave, you answered that for me. Thank you so much. Do college coaches look for a player with 1 or 2 elite tools or a player with 3 to 5? All it takes is one. When it comes to tools, I always want to say to parents, all it takes is one tool to open an eye. This is where that work on and build on area of the journal really factor in. Let's say you have a student athlete that just has, I'll give it to you this way. I'll tell you a story. Young man from Louisiana, very competitive high school, all boys Catholic school. They would have 400 boys try out for the baseball program, from the freshman team, the JV team, and the varsity team. And each team only took 25 players. This young man played baseball all 4 years, saw very, very limited action. And by the time the parents had come to me to talk to me about this student athlete, I went out to do an evaluation, and this young man was an infielder, predominantly a second baseman. And he was playing out of position. And I said to the parents, here's 2 areas that you're going to need. Now, this young man was told point blank by his high school coaches and his area of influence that he would not play in college. Was told that wouldn't play junior college, wouldn't play NAIA, didn't have the skill sets necessary, predominantly hitting. He didn't have the hit tool. But I said, if you become a center fielder where the hit tool is not as much a requirement, but your foot speed and your arm strength are allowed to shine. And as soon as those two metrics were seen from a different position, meaning, okay, I have good foot speed, I have elite foot speed, I have above average arm strength, I don't have the hitting tool, but if I can play center field, that young man ended up doing 1 year at the Salisbury School in Connecticut from Louisiana, then ended up playing at Northeastern University, 4 years as a Division I starter. He played 2 years of summer baseball in the prestigious Cape Cod League, all because he took his tools that he was very good at and the tools that needed work, worked on the hitting, built on the speed and the arm strength, moved to a different position, and became a really strong college student athlete. Very important. It's not to get so laser focused on where we are today, but what are we capable of becoming tomorrow? Again, the work on and the build on, two very big things. So if you have one above average tool, above average foot speed is anything below 7 on a 60-yard dash. Arm strength, above average is anything above 85. So if you are 85 across the diamond, 85 off the pitcher's mound, 85 from the outfield, that's an above average tool. If you're a 90 to 95 exit velocity, that's above average hitting metric. So, if you don't have foot speed, but you have strong hitting, you kind of want to make sure you're going to play that position that doesn't require foot speed, i.e., the corners. You want to play third, first, catch, potentially left field. So all it takes is one tool. Coaches, if you get a 3 or 5 tool player, they're going to probably be drafted, or they're going to definitely be a high level Division I prospect. And those are no brainers. Those are absolutely no doubters. If somebody runs really fast, hits a ball really far, hits a ball consistently, and throws really well, that's 3 or 5 tools. They're probably already on the Division I radar because a major league scout has seen them play. I promise you, and they are calling college coaches. Let's see. What are the top non-baseball things to boost recruitment possibilities? Grades, and more grades, test scores. If you have a strong transcript, chances are that's going to put you into a really good recruiting. It's a separator. So if we have, let's say, 4 student athletes that are the same athletically, the ones with the stronger grades are going to get more recruiting opportunities. I will always tell you can make yourself a better hitter. There are plenty of ways to become a better hitter. I have boys that have just had a broomstick, rocks, plastic golf balls, or acorns, and they go out into their backyard or they go to the park and they just hit thousands and thousands of swings with the broomstick and the acorns, the rocks, the plastic golf balls. It's much like the movie where Dodgeball, where if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. If you can hit an acorn or you can hit a lima bean with a broomstick consistently, you can hit a baseball. You can make yourself a better baseball player, but you need to take and be very proactive with regard to your routines and your skill set development. You cannot leave skill set development solely at the feet of a coach, an instructor, whether the high school coach, a travel coach, or an instructor that's doing lessons. It's not their responsibility. You don't want to leave that in a 30-minute, 1 hour, or 90-minute format. It needs to consume the student athlete. And I say that sincerely. It needs to consume. It needs to be something that your student athlete passionately wants. and they need to designate time every day to getting better at that skill set. You want to throw a baseball harder? Play catch with a football. If you don't believe me, now I say this to parents all the time, and they don't believe me. And so I want you to see this for yourself. If you want to become a better, stronger throwing athlete, play catch with the football. You know this guy, Alex Bregman, plays for the Cubs. I got him. I got Dansby Swanson. I have my son, Tyler. Every single professional athlete, all positions, catchers, infielders, outfielders, pitchers, they play catch with footballs. They play catch with softballs. They play catch with volleyballs or soccer balls. Volleyball or softball or a soccer ball. If you're throwing those balls and your body is staying behind that ball and you're seeing the spin end over end, or a football is a spiral, that means your body is staying behind the object longer. The sooner you teach your body to stay behind a baseball longer, the harder your athlete will throw. You don't need weighted balls. You don't need plyo balls. You need to be able to go into the backyard, throw balls against the wall, play catch with the football, play catch with the softball. Challenge your student athletes to step outside their comfort zones and play catch with objects that will require that their bodies stay behind it longer. They'll get stronger. They'll be more efficient, which will lead to arm strength. These are things that your student athlete can do on their own, with or without friends or partners or instruction, that will help them get better. Also, wall ball. Cannot emphasize this enough. I live in Boston, Mass, and we just got 2 to 3 feet of snow. And wall ball can be done indoors, in a basement, in a school. It can be done in a bedroom if you have a tennis ball. But wall ball, fielding over and over and over, and taking hundreds and thousands of repetitions during the course of a week are going to help you become a better athlete. Wall ball for fielders and catchers. What are the top Canadian baseball programs to consider? Are you talking about, Sean, are you talking about top college programs? Are you talking about high school / boarding school programs? Are you talking about high school or travel programs? I can tell you that there is a really huge emphasis. Share a couple of little tidbits. Montreal is probably going to be getting a major league team. They're going to be joining the Blue Jays. There's also a movement afoot for Portland, Oregon / Vancouver, that Pacific Northwest. Canada always has tremendous athletes. They have hockey athletes. They have soccer athletes. The versatility. Larry Walker comes to mind. I can tell you a million different athletes that my sons have played with and against that are college athletes that were from Canada. The young man that goes to Lawrence Academy, he's a hockey player. So is Benji. I will always tell parents, you can look for college athletic opportunities, but if you're doing so solely with the focus on athletics, you're going to be disappointed. Athletics in college is a massive undertaking that the vast majority of athletes are not preparing properly for. And I'm not strictly talking about statistics or baseball related abilities or skill sets. I'm talking about mental, academic. I'm talking about the level college athletics. I don't think enough people understand the time, sacrifice, commitment that it takes to be a college student athlete. It's 12 or 14-hour days, almost all levels, all divisions. It is a 10-month-a-year season, in some cases 11. The only real time that most colleges are off is the month between Thanksgiving and Christmas or New Year's. College baseball now starts in earnest in January, and it will run through May. And then you have summer college baseball, which will run through July and August. And so you have that 2 week off, and then you're back on the college campus. And so that's something that is needed. I want to let everybody know, um, A, all of this information I'm going to be sending you in the book, the ebook. For it's called The Recruiting Process. Has all kinds of journals in there. It has all kinds of places that you can write on. All of the information regarding JUCO and all the different divisions and the questions to ask college coaches. All of that we covered here tonight. You'll all be getting that ebook as part of this webinar. So I don't want you to panic. Also, as Dave had alluded to, the Baseball Blue Book app, all redesigned. Now, it's important to understand the Blue Book didn't just come onto the scene. It's over 100 years old. When I was a kid, when dinosaurs roamed the earth, I used the Baseball Blue Book, much like the Yellow Book back in the day. That will tell you how old I am. And you would look into the major league teams, what their addresses were, who the general manager, who the scouting directors, all the college coaches, what's the college snail mail address, what's the email address, and even some cases, the phone numbers to call. But now with regard to social media, Baseball Blue Book is a platform that you can create a profile, share your profile on your X/Twitter, your Instagram, your Facebook, all of those types of TikTok, etc. College coaches now are very social media savvy, and they're very social media aware. And so creating your videos and putting them in your profiles on your Blue Book and your transcripts and all of the things that you want college coaches to see. And I want to stress that. Don't put things on your social media that you do not want college coaches to see. Biggest boo-boo that most student athletes make is they'll repost somebody else's content, or they'll like some kind of content or share some kind of content. It may not shine your athletes in the best light. So always remember positive, social media content. Try to be more engaged with the we as opposed to the me. Try to talk about your team. Try to talk about your coaches, your teammates. Try to celebrate in the successes of others while showing your skill sets. That's always going to be viewed in a positive light. Let's see. Canadian programs in college with regard to baseball. There are several. I do want to say that for the most part, I am a huge proponent. It's not where you start, it's where you finish. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. In every aspect of life, when I'm working with families, we try to take the emphasis off of the beginning and focus on the meat in the middle, and then ultimately, what's the goal? What's the end game? Nobody starts their business or gets involved with the business. They're always thinking of an exit strategy. You're always, when you're studying for a test, the end game there is to do well on your test. When you begin to look at colleges, it's always good to consider colleges within your geographic, logistical area that you can get in, get your academic transcript started on a strong foundational setting, as well as your athletic, beginning of your career. Getting between the lines early in developing physical maturation, mental maturation, academic maturation, and then you can transfer. In today's world, I'm not a big proponent of it. I am still a traditionalist in this perspective of I feel that college athletics have become too transient. We're losing our identity, all for the perception or the validation of an athletic skill. If your skill sets are really strong, it's not really relevant where you go to college. Where you play in the summer, that's going to matter. That will pay dividends every year. The Northwoods League, the Pacific Northwest League, the California League, the Alaska League. There's so many college summer travel leagues now. When I say summer travel, college summer baseball is where the vast majority of college baseball recruiting occurs. And so, if you're playing in Canada, if you're playing in one of the geographical, borders, whether it's Michigan or over in New York, Upper New York, or Detroit, or Pacific Northwest, and Oregon and Washington, the Northwoods League, the Pacific Northwest League, the Alaskan League. If you're playing in Canada and your skill sets are going to be attractive to a summer college league, that's where your skills are going to be on display for scouts, major league scouts, professional scouts. There's a lot of independent baseball now, and those scouts are independent evaluators that talk to college coaches. So again, not so much focus on where you start. It's good to get your foot in the door. It's good to get into a school that fits you geographically, academically, socially, culturally, and then obviously athletically. Let's see. And that's pretty much it. Sean, are there any other questions that I can answer specifics on? I do want to let parents know, again, if you have questions after tonight, I think we're going to have the webinar is going to be a video that you can watch at your leisure. You can begin to take additional notes if you're so inclined. You can obviously follow the Baseball Blue Book, or you can follow me. I'm Blue Book Beede on Twitter, X, Coach Beede everywhere else. Happy to answer your questions, help you in any capacity if we can. The Blue Book is a tremendous, tremendous resource. I hope you take advantage of it because it's free. And I have a lot of athletes, particularly today. I just talked to a couple of athletes, and I'll go ahead and repost a lot of their information. This particular young man, just sent me a message today about the Blue Book app, and I reposted a video, and the video opened some eyes of a few college coaches. Happy to do that. And I do that for a lot of families, Canada, U.S., Germany, Australia. I have a young man going to Columbia University from Australia next year. That's my first young man from Australia. Obviously, I want to make sure that you understand on YouTube, Coach Beede. Now, I have hours, and when I say hours, you could live to be 1,000 and you could not go through all of the amounts of hours. I have all kinds of interviews with college coaches, all levels, all divisions, players, parents, families, prep schools, boarding schools, all the playlists. You want to talk about, recruiting courses. We have those. You want to talk about postgraduate or prep schools. We have those. You want to talk about meal prep, nutrition. You want to talk about mindset, performance, mental performance, Tamara Seaman. We have all of those types of information, and they're free. You can listen to them at your leisure. You can learn from them. You can listen to the college coaches. I have well over 400, 500 interviews with college coaches that will allow you to gain some insight to how coaches think, how they operate. It's all free, and all you have to do is subscribe. Subscribing is free on the YouTube channel, and that will allow you. There's a myriad of different playlists that you can take the time to listen to. I have podcasts with nutrition, meal prep. Jeremy Fouts with Corvive. He does a lot of meal prep with athletes across the country, all sports. And so that's there for you to listen to and enjoy at your leisure. And so I want to say thank you to everybody for taking the time. Sean, I will send you the file that you can send out to whoever would like a copy of the recruiting process. It's completely free. It's an ebook. You can read it on your tablet. I want to say thank you to everybody. Best of luck this upcoming spring. And if I can be of any help, or if the Blue Book can be of any help, let Sean know. Let us know at Blue Book, and we'll be happy to help you out. Thank you guys so much, and have a great rest of your evening.